everybody, grab your Bible and a pencil and a journal and maybe even a cup of coffee and join in on our conversation. But first, I would love for you to write this down. Galatians 4, verses 4 and 5. But when the fullness of time had come, God sent forth His Son, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those who were under the law so that we may receive the adoption as sons.
Hey everyone, Merry Christmas and welcome to Write This Down with Dot Bowen. My name is Cara. I am Dot's daughter, and every week we sit down together and we have a conversation about God, about scripture, about what He might be teaching us, and hopefully you can take me seriously with this hat on. But in this episode, we are talking about time, the fullness of time, Jesus coming at the right time, what time means in the sense of chronological time and God's time, and is time running out? So we would love for you to pull up a chair and join in our conversation.
Well, ho, 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 Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
I guess it's the time. We're time. This is the time.
This is it. I mean, we love Christmas.
Yes, we do.
If you had told me, though, a few years ago that I'd be sitting here with the Santa hat on.
If I'd have told you several years ago, you'd be sitting here at all.
Well, yeah, I would not have believed you, but I kind of can't believe I'm wearing it, but I'm also like, I love it.
You love Christmas. And
love Christmas.
I'm going to take a lot of responsibility of that.
Well, yeah, it's your fault.
Yeah, it is because I love Christmas.
I just love the joy and the lights and the decorations so here's what's ironic about it is because it's actually a hard season for me, which maybe that's like, I don't know what this says about me where I'm like, I'm going to like ignore.
Push through it.
Yeah. Like I'm going to suppress all the negative or hard emotions and just like fully dive into the joy and lights of Christmas. But I do think like the lights and I don't know, it does like, I think it helps me at least.
Yeah.
But I still can't believe I'm wearing a Santa hat. So
therefore you bought me a hat.
Are you going to wear yours?
Yes, you did.
I didn't know if you would.
I'm not sure I'm going to wear. No, I don't think I know. But
this is like one of those moments where people like, they're like, oh, let's jump at the same time into the pool.
And I'm like, no, you go right ahead.
And you're like, okay, let's jump like kind of three. And then I jump and you don't jump.
Yeah, I know. It's just not the right time, Cara, for me to wear the hat right now.
We have two more.
We have some more.
I
may appreciate it. I may. We get some more weeks at Christmas time, but I just wanted to say I don't look as cute as you are in the hat. Not that I'm that prideful or anything.
I thought you looked cute in it.
But I just thought it was so funny because you bought me a hat as well. And over the years, if I had ever told you to wear anything that I would wear or do anything, you said, nope.
Okay.
So
well, by the last episode in December,
I am wearing this
hat. Better be on.
I will wear the hat.
Okay.
But I think that we're talking about time. And, you know, when I would read in Galatians 4 anytime about when Jesus came, it always talked about time at this particular time, or, you know, shepherds are in the field at night. That was a time. And so as we've talked about time and Christmas, and this is Christmas time and all this of course that means on the calendar it's Christmas time.
Yeah.
But when Jesus came, and when it says that, you know, when Jesus came at a certain time, that was God's time.
At the fullness of time.
And that was God time. And so there's two different Greek words on time. And I know we're going to talk about this, but one of the things I think that allowed us to think about, let's talk about this. Let's have a conversation about the difference between the calendar time and God's time. I think there was something that God had really spoken to you about. And I just thought maybe you'd want to share that before. I know that, you know, the two words, I'm going to let you say those words and stuff, just because at the same time, actually, God was using time in my life, the word time. And at the same time, unknowingly, God was leading you to another kind of thoughts. Because for me, I think God was really dealing with me about the world's time, the calendar. Because, you know, at my age and at every birthday, I look back and think how much time, you know, do I have? And I want to make the best of my time. But I believe that that's, again, was with me, the chronos, the calendar time. But at the same time, God was working in you with a different meaning of time. And so would you like to Just share with us a little bit.
So there's which we'll share this in the description. And I don't even think I don't know if you watched it, but there was a video really quick, like 10 to 15 minutes, that my niece actually sent me. And she was like, this, made me think of you. And it's completely blanking on the guy's name, but he's
Jamie Winship.
Yes.
Winship.
Yes. So Jamie Winship, it's like 10 or 15 minutes long, and he's talking about like his time running out. And so that has been a big thing for me. And actually, if I'm getting really vulnerable, I had a moment in counseling. This was maybe a year or two ago. And I mean, I've talked about this a lot on here. Like, I'm not married, haven't been married, and God hasn't brought. So there's an element of, I felt like have I missed it? Have I missed something? Like, is this my fault? Blah, blah. And so, but I don't feel like I have an idol of marriage, because that's something that I lay down a lot. But the idol I did have that I still have to continue to make sure I lay down is the idol of time. Mm-hmm. Because I can get like how you're
idol, IDLE, but IDOL.
Yeah, the idol of time. Like you look more of ahead of how much time do I have left, where I look back and I'm like, am I wasting time? Like, what am I doing? Like, I don't want to miss it. Like, like there's not,
or
my dating pool.
My time?
Yeah, like my dating pool, it's not a pool. It's like a little puddle. So there's like a lot, or I'm like, I don't want to waste time. I don't want, I'm very hyper focused on that. So this and I think we're talking about in the realm of Christmas as well, because at the fullness of time, like God is so intentional with time. He is so intentional with, details, and when, like, making sure everything's lined up at the perfect time. And so anyway, this video, he was breaking down how in Greek, there's two words, chronos and kairos. And chronos time it's like chronological. It's the calendar time. It's at 12 o'clock or December or, it's 2025. And then kairos is when God intersects time. It's Jesus coming into the world. It's Jesus dying on the cross. It's these God moments, or even if it doesn't even have to be an event. It can be God speaking to your heart. But it's God entering into time. It's kairos time. Kairos, God entering into chronos time. And so essentially he's saying, and this is what was super helpful and encouraging for me, was time is not passing us by, which is how it feels. Like, it's just like we're on this conveyor belt and it's just like we're sitting still and time is passing. And he was saying, like, it's the opposite. We are actually moving through time. And there are these kairos moments that God has placed, in our life, but we can't miss it. And I think but we can miss it. So it's like, we can't, if we are moving forward and we keep faith and we keep our eyes and hearts on Jesus, we can't miss what he has for us. But we can, if we get turned around, if we get deceived, if we sit in fear, if we, so we have an element of control. We can't control when it's going to happen. We can't control what God's going to do. We can't control some things, but what we can control is how we are walking.
How we respond to it.
How we're responding. And I'll share this one part too before we really talk about it. But he likened it to if you're walking on a beach, and it's not like you're standing still on the beach and everything, the buildings or hotels are moving past you. He's saying you're walking toward the hotel. And so say the hotel is the kairos moment. That's what God's wanting and has for you. And you're walking to it. You can walk, you can run, you can turn around, you can sit on the beach. Like, you can do whatever you want, but that hotel is not moving. It's there. But how you get there is what makes all the difference in the world. And it really brought a lot of freedom in a way, and just rest.
Yeah.
Because I struggle with there's moments when we break faith, or there's moments, I walked away from the Lord at a time, and there's all those things, but over the course of but I'm still moving forward. Maybe I did have a moment where I turned around, or I've sat on the beach or whatever, but I'm still moving forward. So it's no, I haven't done anything. It's still, what God has for me is still there. Mm-hmm. And I haven't missed it. It hasn't gone past me, but it's just at a point, in some people's, if we're talking about marriage or a child, or if you're waiting for something, maybe other people's is, maybe the hotel's a little bit closer in a sense, and other people's is farther away, but that doesn't mean like you're not going to miss it. So I don't know if that makes
You're
sense,
not
but
going
it
to
was
miss God's will.
Yeah,
I think
as long
God's
as you
moment
are
of time.
as long as you are trusting Him, and of course
keeping your eyes on Him.
not perfectly, but just walking forward. And I think like even Jesus's birth, especially his death and resurrection, but even his birth as well. The people who wanted to see it, who had faith,
That's right.
who believed, they knew that it was Jesus. But the people who missed it were the ones who were so caught up in their own world, their own lives, the chronos time. Yeah, they were so focused on other things. And so, I mean, it happened. Jesus came and they did miss it, but it was because of how they were walking on the beach per se.
But the hotel was still there. Jesus came.
Yeah, he's still.
And I think, the very beginning of Genesis 1, where it says, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. So there's two sections of time in the fact that in the beginning, that was a chronological time.
Yeah.
But God created, that was kairos time. That was God's moment. And I guess for me, I think a lot about Moses. You love Moses.
I do like Moses.
Yeah. And, but you remember Moses, at that time was put in a basket. You always say Moses was a basket case. He was put in a basket on the Nile River. I love that. And then he sees these Egyptians fighting. He goes in and kills one. He goes into the wilderness. And that was a time of his life. It's 40 years. And you start looking at the 40 years place. But when he sees these Hebrews fighting, he wants to go rescue. And he goes in there and he says, don't fight against each other. He was trying to rescue the Israelites and a Jewish. Now, he was living in Pharaoh's house. He lived under Pharaoh and the Egyptians. And yet there was something in him that knew that he wanted to protect the Hebrews, the Israelite people. And yet we know now, because we know the whole story, that was the hotel for Moses. God had put into Moses this desire to rescue the Hebrews. But he goes into the wilderness. You would think, well, you wasted 40 years.
Yeah.
But yet that was God preparing him for that.
Right, because if you look at it in just continue to use that walking on the beach illustration, Moses was always walking forward on the beach. And it looked like, when am I going to get to this hotel? And I think that there are little things along the way. Like I said, I don't think that there's one kairos moment in our lives. I think it's just God intersecting time. And the burning bush was a moment that I'm sure there's a bunch of other moments that happened where God entered into, and not he's always there, but it's where we see it, where it's like, oh, like God really spoke to me, or God really showed up, or God, I really saw, him do something.
I think it's more like, we know God's in control. We know he's sovereign. And as we begin to walk with him, there are just moments of time. There's moments of things that happen in our lives that we are more aware of his presence.
Yeah. It's like these like divine intersections, right? Kind of. So he's always moving like with us, bush. But but then it's like an intersection. So we're always moving, but then intersection. And so
I want to say this, when Moses went into the wilderness the first time, he doesn't know he's going to go back into the wilderness. Right. But even though it looked like Moses' time was that Moses controlled his time the first time he went in, it looked like because he was scared, he'd murdered, an Egyptian,
But God did so much in those first 40 years.
If you're going to take millions of people through the wilderness, you may want to go yourself and learn how to get through the wilderness.
Yeah.
So what looked like a waste of time, Moses' 40 years, it was God preparing him to do what God really had called and why he was born in the first place. Yeah. That desire to be the deliverer of the Jewish people, Hebrew, which is really started when he talked to the Hebrews about not hurting. Yeah. So again, where it looked like Moses' first 40 years in the wilderness could look like he wasted those 40 years.
Right. And that's a lot how I feel. Like I feel like I look back at years and I'm like, oh, I wasted time. Like that's like one of the biggest things. When I started looking at it through the eyes of God, as best as I can, but just to see it as like, no, like I haven't like missed my husband. I haven't missed what God has for me. I'm just walking on the beach and for whatever reason, for my beach that God has made, it's my life,
Your path.
my path, that's just farther along down the beach. I just have to walk farther. But my walk has looked totally different. I mean, I'm so glad that my hotel per se wasn't 10 years ago.
Right.
I mean, I would have burned that hotel down probably.
Yeah.
You know,
You
like
might be divorced.
yeah, like I don't know what would have, just because of like what God's done in my life.
Miserable,
like,
yeah.
I don't know if I'd been divorced, but I would have been, who knows who I would have chosen. So I just feel like I think the point is, going into this holiday season, I always think about time. And I always think about just the fullness of time. Like there was this perfect time that Jesus came. And because I struggle with that, and that's an idol that I always have to lay down, of not being caught up in, have I missed it? Has it passed me by? To say like, no, like, cause my heart, I want what God wants. I'm focusing on, like, I'm walking with faith as best I can. Not perfectly, of course. It's not like God needs us to walk perfectly and doesn't ask that of us. But I think it kind of gives me hope going into these seasons where sometimes it's highlighted. You see all the families, you see all the
family time
things that you don't, that maybe, and I know some people, there's so much loss around Christmas as well. Yeah. So even if it's not something you're waiting on, but it's highlighting your loss,
that's
whatever
right.
that
your
may be.
Your absence of something.
Yeah. Of what used to be.
Or what you wish. Or
yeah.
Used to be,
and maybe that encouragement is more of, you're moving through time to see, to see them again, if it's a death or, whatever it may be, but it's that God still is going to intersect.
And God can step in.
That's what I was going to say. Like there's still going to be these kairos moments, and there's still going to be, he's still going to have something for you in those.
Just the other day you mentioned to me, you said, Mom, what if I make a mistake? What if I'm
terrified of making mistakes. Because at this point, I'm like, how do I know who?
Like, how do I know? Yeah. And I remember saying to you, you're not going to make a mistake if you're not wanting to make. Like if you want, you said, I think it was exact words was, how do I know if this is of God or not, or something like that. And I was like, people that are miss God's best, or people that are worried about making, people that make mistakes aren't worried about making it. They just move it. And I said, no one that I know has ever desired to want God's best and not to make a mistake has made one.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also the freedom of, we don't miss it. And I think that was what that analogy was helpful of, is it's not that it's passing you by. It's just that you stop moving.
Yeah.
Like I'm sitting on the beach.
Right.
It's still there. Like it's still waiting for you. It's still like what God wants for you or whatever, or if God's wanting to, intersect in a certain way, if he's wanting to put a kairos moment in your journey, it's still there. You're not going to miss it, but you could just not reach it. Like to me, that's like it was like, it's
if you stop,
and I think maybe because
trusting God, if you stop moving
and maybe
forward.
Because as humans, we like to control. It's like, oh, I do have some element of control in this. And I can control a lot of it. It's like, but I can't control how I walk. Right. I can't control whether I sit or whether I walk. And sometimes crawl. That's fine too. You're still moving forward.
You're still going forward. Even if you pause for a little bit, doesn't mean you won't pick back up and go. Right. I think that for me,
because sometimes you need to pause. Sometimes you need to take a moment and like heal, or and that's where, take a Sabbath. Because that was what, for me, if there were seasons where I needed to just heal, like I needed to take a year or two,
100%.
and I needed that so that I could walk better, later, and that's still moving forward. And so,
I think that what we're talking about. I think it's very important because I think that we don't realize, as you said, it was an idol. And I don't think we realize that the other mindset, I'm going to miss it, or I've got to hurry up because my time's, passing by. And, it's easy when you're 20 to get married. It's not so easy when you're older.
Yeah.
But what we're saying is then what that mindset is putting time in control.
Right. Like it's like God's subject to time. Where he's not.
Right. No, he's not subject to time. Right. I know that because
like he created time.
I reminded him often. Yeah. I know you're not bound by time, but I am.
Yeah.
And again, I'm bound by both times. Mm-hmm. I'm bound by the calendar, and I am bound by the will of God. Mm-hmm. And Paul said that. He said, "I'm a slave to Jesus. I'm slave to the gospel, and don't worry about my chains." And I think it's so great because Paul was like, don't worry about my imprisonment. That would have looked like, oh, the Romans, oh, the Pharisees won.
Yeah.
And I think, we know that when Jesus came and the shepherds and, were by flocked in the, in the glory of heaven and all that. And so many people often have said, well, why did Jesus was born then? How do we, why would he be born at that moment of time? And ironically, because of the scriptures and because of Isaiah prophesying that Jesus would be born and crucified. So Jesus had to be born at that time to be faithful to his word.
Yeah.
Because we don't crucify people anymore. So it would have said Jesus, is in the, electric chair. Yeah. That would not go along with scripture. Right. And so, and also the Jewish people thought that Jesus was coming to redeem them and free them from the Roman rule. And a lot of times they were missing that because they were so concentrating on their moment of time as a Jewish people.
Well, yeah, you're focusing on time and not Jesus.
Right.
And that anything you focus on is an idol apart from Jesus. Like it's
or set your heart on. When you say time, focusing on time, I mean that's
setting your heart on.
My heart on.
And thinking like that's what's control, like that is what is in control. But the other thing,
too, Karen, let me back up. You too, or I think have said when we talked about, well, have I missed it? That too kind of gives you more control. Like I'm bigger than God.
Yeah.
Like I
think that's the fine line where it's like there is an element of
your choices.
I think of, and I said this to you not too long ago, of how faith. Like if you look in the Gospels, anything preceding Jesus doing a miracle, they had faith.
Yeah.
Even if it was, as they say, as a mustard seed. There's an element of faith. And I think that's what we can control. We can control of how much are we trusting the Lord? How much are we, and I think that's where when I kind of shifted my perspective of time isn't running out. It's God is going to, at the perfect time, he's going to do it, and trusting that. And that's what's keeping me moving forward on the beach. And I think that's what we have control over is our hearts. We have control over what we think, what we're believing, what's in our heart, what we're looking at.
100%.
What's kind of, those kind of things, how we react, how we're responding, how we're healing, how we're grieving. Like there's some certain things that we do have control over.
With our
but that's really it.
The way we view. But when you say,
but it makes a big difference of your faith. I mean, that's where it pleases the Lord. And so, if you want to,
I want to go back up to the faith, what she said about that faith right before every time Jesus, did a miracle, someone approached him by faith, and he would recognize their faith. It wasn't their faith that did the miracle. Jesus did the miracle. But their faith was a response to what God was doing. So they had their faith in Jesus, which is exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, it's faith in Jesus. And I think if they didn't, I think they would have missed the miracle.
100%.
So I think you look at that with Jesus coming, like the whole Christmas season, they missed him because they didn't believe that it was him.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we could miss is we miss Jesus. We don't miss the kairos moment. We miss Jesus. And I think that's what's at stake. And that's, obviously what matters the most. And so I think that's where in God's kindness, he's not like, okay, have to have faith in order for me to, it's not like A plus B equals C. I think he's more like, I want you to experience this. I want you to enjoy I want you to not miss me. So I want you to have faith so that you can enjoy it, so that you can see it, so that you won't miss me.
That's right. So that you can enjoy the chaos.
Yeah, I say all this like tomorrow I could be crying, but I'll have to probably watch this. But
at least you.
But not that crying's bad.
God is, crying's not bad. But but God is making you more aware of trying. The other way is to put such fear. I'm going to miss God's will.
Well, then it causes anxiety. Looking at the fruit of that, it's clearly that's not the Lord.
Yes, the what ifs. I say that all the time. And I think that when we put the emphasis on God and not the time, whatever it is, but on the love and grace of God, then we're able to see him because we're not out of fear and worried that we're either in the middle of the circle or we're out of the middle of the circle. And I think putting our focus on God is where we're like, God, It's not about the time, but it's about you. And I'm going to trust you and I'm going to move forward. I don't know exactly where I'm going, but I know it's there. And when I get there, I know that you will be there. And that's both times coming together.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the greatest time of the year.
I know.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.